All right, how many of you guys know where Jackson is? Jackson, Missouri? You guys know where Jackson is, right? We're far enough south that you guys know Jackson. Okay, so growing up, I grew up in Sikeston, and Jackson had this, maybe some of you guys even know about it. I am almost certain it's not in existence anymore because it was very dangerous. We'll just go with dangerous. Okay, so this place in Jackson, it had a water slide, and basically what they did is they just dug a trench in the ground, this huge trench, okay, and then they poured cement on it and painted it blue, and it went into this pool that was not very big and had a lot of people always in it, and it looked like a pond because, like grass and leaves, like nobody ever cleaned it, and because, it's cement, it was rough. Okay, so you got these mats, these like, I don't know what they were made of, like foam / rubber / I don't know. Anybody ever been to the place? Already. If you've been there?
No, not.
Oh, okay, all right. Has anybody been to this place in Jackson? No, okay. If it's still around, don't go. So we go, and it was a thing that my family did. I'm pretty sure. I remember as a kid thinking, oh wow, that's pretty cheap. It doesn't cost very much money to come here. That's why we come here all the time. So we go, and there was one time in particular, how most places you go where you pay a fee to get in and it's a water park, and there's a water slide, you have somebody at the top that's okaying when the next person this place didn't have that. Okay, so, and I'm talking, and you need to understand, you can't see the bottom, all right, because it's on a hill, and it goes through it's you can't see the bottom at all. So you just would watch the person go, and you'd wait a little bit, and they'd go around a turn. You couldn't see them because I'm not kidding. The trench was probably about that deep. Okay, so you can't. They're sitting down. You can't see them. Okay, and you just wait a little bit, and you think it's probably okay to go right about now, and then you go. Okay, so that there were no rules. There was no nothing. I'm almost certain there were always overcapacity in the pool. But it was a good fun. So one time, I'm a little kid, and I like going down with my dad because my dad's a big dude. And so, we went down a little bit faster. And so I remember I'm sitting in front of him, and he pushes off really fast. And we're zooming, like we're coming up on the edges, going like that. It's so much fun. And we get to the end, and at the end, there is a traffic jam. So something happened because, again, this slide led out right into the pool. Not a big pool, always full of a lot of people just swimming. And I remember several times you coming down, there's somebody swimming right at the mouth of the slide, and it's I can't stop, right? And so typically they're they'd go underwater and it'd be fine. Okay, but at least this time that didn't happen because there was this huge traffic jam. We come around the corner and it's kids everywhere, okay? And I'm scared. At that moment, I would probably tell you I felt pretty helpless, okay? Because I see a bunch of people, and my dad's a big dude. And I'm in between them, and we're going fast. And I'm thinking, this is going to hurt. My dad and these people are going to crush me. And just as I'm panicking, feeling very helpless, I felt my dad's massive hands basically wrap around my body, and I'm not kidding. He threw me. He threw me up in the air. And I landed on the nice soft grass right there beside the trench, and I watched my dad unclog it. My dad just lowered his shoulder, and the problem was fixed. It was gone. Okay? So, felt very helpless, felt very scared there for a moment before my dad, very heroically threw me. That's what I want to talk to you guys about this morning is that feeling of helplessness, okay? And we're going to look at Mark chapter 5. With my concealed carry Bible here. Mark chapter 5, and we're going to begin in verse 21. And when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered about him, and as he was beside the sea. Now, I want to say something. It just cracked me up whenever I read this, and Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side. Well, how do you cross a sea? By a boat. Well, why do we need to distinguish that Jesus crossed by boat? Because if you're Jesus, there are more than two ways. There's more than one way, to cross a body of water. So it's just funny that they put that in there. By the way, this is one of the times that he didn't walk on water. He went by boat. So Then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing him, he fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be made well and live." And he went with him, and a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. And there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. Let's stop right there for a second. So Jesus crosses a boat, gets to the other side. He's back in Jewish territory now. He gets out the boat and immediately just swarmed with people, right? One man manages to kind of get in front of everybody and get to Jesus pretty quickly and falls down at his feet. Now, this man's name is Jairus, and Jairus is a synagogue ruler, okay? So he presides over the synagogue that's there locally. So he comes up, and I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine that he's using his prestige here to kind of get in front of people, right? Like, my daughter's about to die. There's a massive amount of people. I'm the leader of the synagogue. Get out of my way. I got to go talk to this guy. So he gets in front of everybody, and instantly he gets to Jesus, and he falls face down at Jesus' feet, imploring him, begging him, "I need you to heal my daughter. She's sick." Now, we would say that man probably felt what? Helpless, right? Jesus says, "Okay, I can help her." And then he's walking with him, going through this crowd, probably not moving very quickly because there's a lot of people that are trying to get through. And there's this woman in the crowd who has had a discharge of blood for 12 years. It's a long time. She feels pretty helpless. Now, I want to pause right here, and I want to compare these two people. Jairus, ruler of the synagogue. This unnamed woman with a discharge of blood for 12 years is a nobody. She's a nobody. She blends in. She's just a Jewish woman. Jairus, ruler of the synagogue, had power. This woman didn't. Matter of fact, this woman's condition actually would have made it impossible for her to worship Yahweh to the extent that everybody else could, because she wouldn't be allowed to, because she's seen as unclean. She can't go where the other women go whenever the sacrifices are offered. She has to wait outside because she's unclean. So you got these vastly different people, and yet both of them are feeling pretty well right now. Pretty helpless. It's kind of funny. You probably won't hear very many points in sermons that are like this, but my first point is that life sucks. All right. No amens? All right. Life sucks. All right, here's the thing. Both of these people, you have the man with power, with money, with wealth, with prestige, with knowledge. He's smart, right? He's used to saying something and it's done. And then you have this woman who's broke because she spent everything that she had on this condition that she's had for 12 years with no help. So you got two vastly different people. You have a man, you have a woman. I mean, like and here are they. They're both helpless because life sucks. And I know I'm an optimist. Okay, my glass is half empty or half full. my glass is half full. I'm trying to get into life sucks mode right now. Okay, but life does actually. Let's look at this. Okay, life is pretty rough. I got a slide I want to show you guys. Now's the time, Aaron. I didn't do a good job of letting Aaron know beforehand. So if you can't read this, I'll read it for you. Anybody seen this before? It's hilarious. Okay, so don't read ahead. Okay, so this is something for Halloween. So these kids were asked, "What scares you the most?" Okay, so Paul, the first kid, says werewolves, which are indeed pretty scary. Okay, so then the next girl, Nina, what scares you the most? She says sharks. Okay, now, and I know after I saw Jaws, I was afraid to swim in the deep end, okay, of a pool, right? Nobody else? Right, yeah, it's scary, okay? So that's a good answer. So then Dylan right here, this third kid, what scares you the most? He says, the unstoppable marching of time that is slowly guiding us all toward an inevitable death. Right? That's pretty accurate, I guess, right? And then this last girl, can't see her name, I can't see her name, Caitlin, I think it is. What scares you the most? She says Dylan. Right? That's funny, that's cute. Right? Probably fake, but it's all right, it's funny. It's making light of a very serious thing, though. Whenever the curse happened, whenever Adam and Eve fell, we were told life's going to suck. Right? Yahweh spoke to Adam and Eve, because you've done what you've done, life's going to be pretty hard now. And it's going to end with death. And I know a lot of people in this room are no strangers to death. Right, this past couple weeks ago, last month, we celebrated the year since my grandfather died. Right, we celebrated by having ice cream and chocolate milk, because that's what he liked. Right, but that was just a year ago. This nation, a lot of people in the nation are mourning the death of Kobe Bryant. I know that people in this room have had very personal experiences with death. A lot of us have. And there's a 100% chance that if you live long enough, you're going to die. That was funny. Right? It's going to happen. And so, here's the effects of sin. Death, which this man Jerry's is facing with his daughter. And then a lifetime of turmoil, which this bleeding woman is also experiencing. And interesting is that the text says that this woman spent her life savings, everything that she had, seeing all the physicians that she could, getting all the conventional wisdom that she could find to solve this very serious issue that she's dealing with for 12 years. And it says, not only did it not get any better, but did you catch it? What happened? It got worse. It got worse. Whenever we deal with our sin the same way, whenever we try to deal with it conventionally, we try to find things to take care of it that we can find, whenever we try to settle it, we'll find that it won't, not only will it not go away, but it too it'll just get worse. Which leads me to my next point. So let's look at this. Verse 27 says, she had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in a crowd and touched his garment, for she said, if I touch even his garments, I will be made well. And immediately, you guys catch that? Like let's compare 12 years with immediately. Right? Immediately means something there. Like that's a big deal, okay? And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Can you imagine? 12 years, immediately. It's not something that she has to wonder. It's not something that she has to go in private and check. She knows. Oh my gosh. I mean, she probably forgot what that was like. What does it feel like to not have this issue? She's forgotten. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about the crowd and said, who touched my garments? And his disciples said to him, you see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, who touched me? And he looked around, he just ignored him. And he looked around to see who had done it. Like, can you picture that? Like, his disciples acting like he's an idiot, and Jesus just like, right? But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. Life sucks. It's hard. The effects of sin not only end in death, but like the journey to death is a hard one. That's the effects of sin. That's the effects of the fall, right? It's hard. And if we're honest, it leaves us helpless. But real help like real help, can only be found in the presence of Jesus. So this woman, this nobody, I mean, we don't know her name. We don't know who she is. Society sees her as a nobody, right? She's like a ninja, okay? And she like sneaks up behind Jesus and like she kind of gets down low and just trying to touch his garment. And she thinks, if I can just touch that, I'll be made well. The faith that she shows is incredible. I want to make something really clear, is that Jesus didn't wear a magical cloak. All right? It was this woman's faith in Jesus. And it wasn't just her faith, it was the object of her faith that made her well. Jesus made her well. And there's kind of a confusing thing here. A lot of people use this passage to talk about how we have some type of power by claiming power. Okay, like this woman, like she walked up and she touched Jesus' cloak and she claimed that power and she got it and she made herself well. She didn't make herself well. She had faith and the only object, Jesus, who could heal her. And she acted on it. And Jesus says this really weird thing, like he noticed that power had left him. All right, that room right there is dark inside. Okay, I'm about to do an analogy and talk about the power of Jesus. I'm really scared right now. Okay. All right, because analogies fall short, but I'm going to try. That room's dark, okay? This room has light. If I were to open that door, what would happen? I would get cold, and light would go into that room. Would this room have any less light? But that room would have light, right? So it's not like Jesus had this amount of power, and then this woman touched, and then it's just like, Jesus is like, oh, my gas tank got a little less full here. What happened? Like, that's not what happened. She came in contact with light. And she received light. She came in contact with wholeness and was made whole. Without having an effect on the one to whom she came in contact with. Here's what's also really crazy. And I think about this every time I read a passage like this. It just blows my mind. If you put yourself in that culture, okay, and you find out that an unclean woman, let's just look at what happened here. An unclean woman snuck behind a rabbi and touched him. That's a big deal. Because if something is unclean and touches something that is clean, that which it touches becomes what? Unclean. And she's doing it sneakily. It's not like she tripped and fell into him. She snuck behind him and reached out and intentionally touched him for her own healing. That's a big deal. Like, you think of Jesus, like picture, like just Jesus reaching out and touching a leprous person, and like their minds being like, "No, stop, because you're going to be made unclean." But what happens every time something unclean comes in contact with Jesus? Instead of Jesus becoming unclean, they are made clean, because true help can only, and I mean that word with every meaning that we like, only. Like, that's not an true help can only be found in Jesus Christ. So last year, I was going through a pretty rough season, okay? And my birthday's coming up. And I'm thinking, oh, man, okay, what do I want for my birthday? And Chris was asking me, what do you want for your birthday? And I say, you know what I want for my birthday? Like, you find somebody to watch the kids. And then you and I just go somewhere. Like, it can be like my stepmom's house, so we don't have to pay any money. She'll probably feed us too. Like, it can be like I don't know, like Cancun, you know, like, I don't know what you, like, whatever. Like, let's just, me and you go away and not have any kids. Okay? Like, that's what I want. So then, a few weeks go by, she comes to me. She says, hey, Kingston, I want you to block off this time in your calendar. And it's like my birthday is one of those dates. And I'm thinking, all right. Blocked, no problem, right? I'll clear it, done. All right? Now, she comes to me, I think it was the day before my birthday. That was one of the dates she told me to block off. And she's telling me, hey, I need you to pack your bags tonight. You're going to be leaving early in the morning. Okay, so I need you to be ready to go. I'm thinking, great, awesome. So, got my bags packed. Sure enough, she wakes me up. She wakes me up early, nice and gentle, brings me some food. Like, okay. I'm like, all right, we're off to a good start, all right? I'm thinking like, but I'm hearing the kids still, and I'm thinking, okay, they're not gone yet. That'll happen soon, though, right? she goes and she hands me this material. I'm like, okay, I'm legally blind without my glasses, can't see anything, okay? So like she's handing me this stuff to read. I'm just like, I don't know, I don't want to read right now, like I want to eat and I want the kids to be gone. So she brings me this material and I'm trying to read it. I'm like reaching for my glasses and I read it and it talks about the White House Retreat Center and I'm thinking, is this an intervention? Like, what problem do I have that I don't know about? Like, what's going on? Okay, so like I'm looking at this and like I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, like I don't want to go to Washington D.C. That was my first thought, like White House. Like I don't really care that much. Like I've been there, it's really cool, but I don't want to go to Washington D.C. right now. It's weird. It's a weird birthday gift. Reading it, silent retreat. I see in there, silent retreat. What? She's like, yeah, I got you a trip to go on a silent retreat for your birthday. It was like, you're gonna go. She's like, and you're gonna go by yourself. And I was like, what? It'd probably be best. Like, they don't really allow cell phones and stuff there either. I'm like, okay, like this is not what I wanted, right? And I remember at that moment thinking, like, I didn't tell her, but I thought, this is really lame, and I'm really disappointed right now. Right? Because I wanted to escape. That's what I wanted to do. I had problems. I wanted to escape from them. What she did is she said, I want you to go away from everything and away from distraction where it's just you and the Lord. And you can't even talk. Right? It's a silent retreat. Yeah. Right? So oh, and then she says, oh, and by the way, like Alexis has to take you, my sister. She has to be at work, and so you're going to get there like 3 or 4 hours early. I'm like, sweet. Right. So I got there, fake smile on my face, like, walk up to the grounds, like, I'm here super early, what can I do? And like a really nice gardener told me, like, well, you can just enjoy the grounds for a few hours. I was like, wonderful. That's what I'm going to be doing the next few days anyway. So I go, I brought books, because that's all I can bring, because again, I don't have a phone, right? Just clothes and books, that's all I got. I brought my toothbrush and stuff like that too, don't worry. And I go find a chair overlooking a cliff, like I'm on a cliff overlooking, beautiful view, and I'm sitting there, and I just started actually engaging with Yahweh, and I instantly knew this is where I'm supposed to be. Like instantly knew it. And it was awesome. I thought that I needed to escape. If I had to make my own decisions, I would have escaped. Fortunately, I have a wife who knew what I needed and gave it to me anyway. And I was right. And I was forced to engage with the Spirit. And instantly, I realized this is where the darkness didn't go away, the pain didn't go away, what I was struggling with didn't go away. But I realized it was just reminded Yahweh's with me in it. Right? Here's the thing is that whenever we engage the effects of sin in our life, we live most of our life trying to remind ourselves that we're not, like just forget that like it's going to end in death. Like whatever I can distract myself with, I'm good. I just don't want to think about the end of my life. Because I don't like feeling helpless. And then whenever we actually encounter a problem that the effect of sin, the effect of fall has on us while we're marching towards death, we do the same thing. I just need to get distracted from this. I'm going to dive myself into work. I'm going to dive myself into social media. I'm going to dive myself into pornography. I'm going to dive myself into the relationship that I have here. I'm going to dive myself into music. I'm going to dive myself into, and we just, whatever we can dive into that will distract us. It can be something that is innately sinful. It can be something that's not, but we're making it sinful because we're using it to escape. But we just find something to distract ourselves from the effects of the fall. And while we're hiding, we're just getting swallowed. And eventually we can't deny it, and there's nowhere else to hide. Because real help can only be found in Jesus. Let's keep reading. While he was still speaking, there came from a ruler's house some who said, "Your daughter is dead." That was to the point. Why trouble the teacher any further? But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." And he allowed no one to follow him except Peter and James and John and the brother of James. They came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and Jesus saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he had entered, he said to them, "Why are you making a commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him, Peter, James, and John again, those who were with him, and went in where the child was. Taking her by the hand, he said to her, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And immediately, you guys hear that? There it is again. Immediately, the girl got up and began walking, for she was 12 years of age. And they were immediately overcome with amazement, and he strictly charged them that no one should know this, and told them to give her something to eat. Jesus is just a super practical dude, right? Here they come to approach the ruler of the synagogue, and they say, "Hey, like, while you were trying to fight the crowd to get to him, and while he was trying to fight the crowd to get out, and in the midst of that, this woman touched him, and he, like, knowing that your daughter was about to die." Like, again, I'm just thinking, like, if I'm this ruler, this is what I'm thinking. Like, knowing that my daughter's about to die, you took the time to talk to her. Like you stopped walking and paused everything and started looking for some nobody that touched you. And now my daughter's dead. Jesus says, "Don't worry. Don't be afraid. Just believe." They walk. They see people mourning, probably professional mourners. If you know about the Jewish culture, they would actually pay people to mourn, right? So professional mourners, they're weeping and wailing very loudly, making a big commotion. That was their job. And then here comes Jesus, and he says, why are you guys, like, she's not dead, she's just asleep. What are you talking about? She's dead. Like, we know what dead means, and she is that. So Jesus throws them out, takes 3 of his closest disciples and the 2 parents, walks in where she is, touches her, tells her to get up. She gets up, and she starts walking. Jesus says, "This girl's hungry. Give her some food." Isn't that awesome? But here's the thing. Jairus thought he was helpless whenever he first came to Jesus. I'm pretty sure if you were to get Jairus to stop enough to ask him, "Hey, Jairus, how you feeling right now?" Helpless would probably be one of the words. I feel helpless. I need to get to this rabbi. I need to get to him. He can do some crazy stuff, so I hear, and he might be the only hope that my daughter has. I need to get to him right now. I feel so helpless, right? And he gets, and he falls down. But really, he's not completely helpless because there's still something he can do. He can get to Jesus in time, and he can fight through that crowd, and he can get Jesus to come to his daughter, and he can get him to come quickly. And there's still something that he can do. But then the moment that these people come to him and say, "Hey, you know what? Your daughter's dead," now he's helpless. Now there's nothing he can do. Before there still was. He thought he was helpless, but he wasn't. Now he is. Here's the thing, is that I think Jairus needed that. I think we need that. Because we live in a very privileged society, right? Some of us more privileged than others, that's for sure. But America's like, we got blessings on blessings, y'all. Like, we have become really, really insanely good at denying that we're helpless. Like, super good at it. We have become really, really, really good at distracting ourselves from the effect that sin has on us. So good at it that I wonder if we really actually understand what helplessness really is, Or if we're like Jairus, whenever something bad happens and whenever we face something, we're like, man, I'm really going to need God to pull through this one. Well, of course, God and all the effort that I can muster, right? We think we know what we need because here's how we approach him in those moments of helplessness. Here, God, I've got this issue. It's really overwhelming me. I don't know how I can get this thing that's going to take care of it, but I really need this thing that's going to take care of it, and I just need you to give it to me. That's not helplessness. I guess it's a step that way because we realize that we need something, but now we're dictating what we need. That's a boss coming to a subordinate and saying, hey, I've got this project that I need done and I need you to do it. That's not helplessness. That's, hey, come alongside me and help me. Your power plus my power equals my happiness. We think we know what we need, and we take that to him. And here's the thing. I'm not saying shame on any of us for doing that. We have such a gracious God that whenever we approach his throne with complete foolishness, I'm telling you, he's happy that we're there. In his presence, he can shape us, but it's in his presence where we realize how foolish we're being. Sometimes I think we just speak words and we say, well, I'm praying. Did you ask God for help? It's well, yeah, I asked God for that. It's no, did you ask God to help you? Well, yeah, I asked God for that. No. Did you ask God, Yahweh, to well his spirit up within you that's already there to give you contentment and peace with what is? Did you ask Yahweh to help you? A lot of times, if we're honest, the answer is no. We think we know what we need whenever we're helpless. But we don't. I went to California one time for a wedding, and you guys need to understand how much I love the ocean. I love the ocean. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I mean it with everything in me. The only reason I am here right now is because Yahweh wants me here. And I know he wants me here. Otherwise, I'd be living near an ocean. It would be in a box if it had to be. But I'd be living near an ocean because I love the ocean. So going to California for my friend's wedding, I got family that lives in California. They're a little bit further inland in West Covina, Diamond Bar, if you know where that is. So they're there. They're about an hour and a half's drive from the beach, and it's a wedding. And I know I had to prepare myself. I'm not going there for me. I'm going there for my buddy Chase. I had to go there, and we get there. I'm I'm not even going to ask if we're going to the beach. But I get there, and very quickly they start talking about a day that we're going to go to the beach. I'm okay, awesome. This is wonderful. Because I love the beach, and I really love my friends. And I've gone to the beach before, on vacations, been able to bring one friend, But I've never been at the beach with a massive group with my friends before, my closest friends. I'm this is going to be incredible. So here's what happened. We're planning our beach day. We got a plan. We're going to go. We're going to get up early. So the guys get up early. We're at the hotel. We're let's go. Right, here we go. The girls are all at the house with the bride. Okay, so we get up early. We're ready to go. We get to the house right on time, ready to go to the beach. The girls are just waking up. Oh, well, I have to get ready. It's you're going to get wet. It doesn't matter. Just wake up and just come on. Oh, no, I got to do my hair and I got to put my makeup on. It's we're going to the ocean, right? So anyway, we lost that fight. They got ready to go. It took them a really long time. We're leaving late. It's an hour and a half drive. We get there. Okay, I'm pumped. I'm let's go. Let's get out the car. Let's get going. They go, well, you know what? We're actually kind of hungry. I'm okay. Fast. Let's go play. We don't have a lot of time. There's food everywhere else, right? We're in America. Remember, there's food everywhere, but there's only an ocean right here. And we have the rehearsal dinner later on tonight. So right now, let's go swim because we don't have a lot of time. We can't extend that time. We got to be back. So they go, no, we're really hungry. I'm okay. So I'm thinking McDonald's, Burger King, In-N-Out. Let's go to one of these places. They go, no, they want to go sit down at this hole-in-the-wall taco joint. I'm oh my gosh. So we sit down at this taco joint. I'm ordering, I'm eating, and I'm done eating first, and I'm looking around. They're all still eating and chatting. I'm we can do this at the beach. Why are we here doing this? So then, finally, I used what little bit of leadership skills God has given me, and I stood up. I was you know what? I'm going to the beach. Who's going with me? And fortunately, some people stood up and like, yeah, I'll go to the beach too. Okay, so I'm like, awesome. So we're going to the beach. Okay, I got my skim board. I got like some footballs and frisbees. Like I'm ready to go. I'm skimboarding. You don't know if you know what that is. You can look it up. I'm like throwing it down. I'm like, whoo, I'm not very good at it, so I'm falling down a lot. Okay, I got some friends that are tossing a football. Jeremiah and Japheth, they're my buddies. You can tell like all Christian parents, right? So they're throwing the football back and forth. Okay. And like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out in the water, okay? So like I go like, Japheth, throw it to me, and I go along, and then like he throws it really bad, and it goes way over my head. I don't care. I just fall back in the water. First time getting in the ocean, I'm submerged, got ocean water all over me. I'm just loving it. Of course, I'm breathing out my nose, so no water gets in my nose. Okay, and I come out, and I'm like, oh, this is so wonderful. This is so great. And I go and I stand up, and I put my foot down, and I felt this incredible, immense pain like I never felt before in my entire life. And I was like, well, that really hurt. That's not true. I screamed. I screamed because my first thought is, whatever this is going to kill me because I don't know what it is. I'm thinking like Jaws. I'm thinking it's a great white shark, okay? So I felt this powerful thing move away from me, and I'm like, okay, this hurts. I'm like, so I'm walking out the water. I get out. There's a trail of blood going back. I'm like, okay, so this is a big deal. I'm using my shirt to try to wipe the blood away. Whenever I do it, it's just this super small cut. I'm like, I am such a sissy, right? So I'm like trying to deny it, like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm not hurting anymore. Like, really? Because you were really saying it hurt really bad. I'm like, no, it's all right. It doesn't hurt that bad, right? So I'm like trying to throw a frisbee. Here's what would happen. It would be okay, and then every once in a while, almost like I didn't time it, but it seemed like it was like I could time it. I could predict it coming. This huge pain would hit my foot and go up my leg. And it would hurt, and I could feel it going up my leg, and then it would go away. And I'd be like, okay, let's play again. And then it would come back, it would hurt and go. And it started getting higher and higher. It wasn't hurting above my knee, and then it was hurting above my knee. And I'm thinking, something's up. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, I was telling myself I just got cut by a crab, and some salt water got in, and it's burning really bad, but this is something. Something's up here. So then Chase, he was one that was, not going to the beach. He comes later. He's like, man, it looks like you got stung by a stingray. I was like, well, as a matter of fact, it hurts really bad. like, I take it back. I'm going back to what I said at first. It hurts. So I go to lifeguard, and we get it treated. Here's what's funny. I was vocally tenacious about I have to get to the beach. Like I was telling everybody, stop eating, stop talking, stop messing around, let's go to the beach. The second I come out of the water for the first time, my time at the beach is done. They stayed for hours and played and had a great time. I'm in a lifeguard shack getting this treated, okay? So that, at the time I'm thinking this is terrible, but looking back, how many people do you know that got stung by a stingray? One. Me, right? I've got a story now, okay? So honestly, and I've been to the beach since, I've been to the beach before that, so really, what I really wanted was to get stung by a stingray. Okay, I didn't know what I wanted, but I really wanted to get stung by a stingray. Okay, now that's funny, all right? But here's the thing. Again, in our relationship with Jesus, we think we know what we want, but we don't really know what we want. And that's really easy to say until it's real. Well, I don't just want my bank account to be bigger. Like, I actually need money. Jesus, God, Father, why won't you just give it? I'm going to do good things with it. I'm not a selfish human being. I really need this. Why won't you just give it? Then it's not funny anymore. It's not funny whenever it's somebody that is on their deathbed. Somebody that we love. Somebody that maybe is on their deathbed too soon. And we're praying and we're imploring. And we know that our God is able. And we fast. And we get prayer chains going. And we seek Him to heal them. It's not funny anymore. It's not funny whenever it's a physical ailment that we've been dealing with, that we've had. We're asking Him to please just take it away. and it's not going away. So here's the thing. Sometimes we think we're helpless until life actually really throws it in front of us. No, really, you're helpless. And whenever that happens, our answer is that true help is only found in Jesus. But the reality is that help doesn't always look like how we think it's going to look. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, but he rose her from the dead. Listen to me. Yeah, but he rose you from the dead. He rose from the dead. We raised from the dead. Here's the thing. As Dylan said, as we're like marching towards life, this inevitable death, he was way more eloquent than I was, okay? As that is happening, here's the thing. Society tells us just distract yourself from that death. Just distract yourself from it. Just distract yourself from the pain. Just distract yourself from the turmoil. If you can just get enough money, if you can just get enough wealth, if you could just get enough power, if you could just have enough fun, if you could just do whatever you need to do in order to not think about the pain, in order to not think about the struggle, in order to not think about death, you'll be okay. And it's not true, and it's creeping into our lives as Christians more than we think it is. Here's what's really cool. Christians don't have to fear death because we've already died. We don't have to fear the march towards death because it's behind us. We've already died to ourselves, and we are actually now living in Christ. That means that it doesn't matter what's going on around us. Now, we can pray for all that. We can pray for help. We can pray for blessing. We can come to this room and say, okay, Yahweh, this is what I think I need. This is what I want. Please give it. Like, we can be that widow pounding on the door. That can be us. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. I'm not saying that it can't be. But what I am saying is that as we do that, we need to have a spirit of humility as well, where we understand that really deep down, I don't know what I want, and the fact that right now that I feel so helpless, even though I have life in you, is an indication that something needs to happen now in me, not now outside of me. And I need you guys to understand, I'm dealing with this just as much as what I hope you guys are. We're helpless. Way more helpless than what we even realize. True help can only be found in Jesus, but that help may not always, in fact, I'll go ahead and say, is probably most of the time won't come how we think it's going to. But here's what's really awesome, is that all the help that we need has already been given. We can walk with Jesus in the Spirit, living in his presence right now, regardless of what's going on. And we can find contentment and peace and joy with that right now, regardless of what's going on. You see how this passage isn't a prosperity gospel passage, isn't about health and wealth and name it and claim it? There's nothing that we can do to increase our faith except for to increase our view of Jesus. And as the object of our faith, Jesus increases, so does our faith. And as our faith increases, so does our contentment and our joy and our peace with what is. Pray for justice. Pray for help. Pray for blessings. Take what you think needs to happen to the throne room, but let's do it on our knees and our faces on the ground, just as Jairus and just as this woman had, asking him to have his way with us, in us, and through us. Because we're not helpless anymore. We've been helped.